right now. For today, exclusive session, we have Walter from KaleidoSwap, who's here. Walter, he's one of the founders of KaleidoSwap, committed to work each day in order to grow this DEX, who's been around from a while, who will be presenting his project, and he will be for sure happy to answer all of the questions and chat with you. So just make sure to interact with him. Do not hesitate to ask questions and any kind of opinions and comments. So, Walter, the microphone is yours. I'm just gonna mute myself for anything you need. Just feel free to share your screen for the demo and let us know if you need any kind of support. All right.
All right, thank you very much, Berk. Hi, everyone. I'm Walter from KaleidoSwap. So today I'm gonna explain you what we built, what we have, and what is KaleidoSwap.
Ça paraît compliqué pour
Hi, man. So let's start from the beginning. So what KaleidoSwap is? So KaleidoSwap is an open source desktop application that is built for Mac and Linux right now. It will also be released for Windows, but at the current moment, RGB Node is not working on Windows, so it will work only on for remote node. So KaleidoSwap is an interface to an RGB node. So basically, it connects to an already running RGB node, and it can run by locally or remotely, for example, in a remote server. So thanks to RGB node, KaleidoSwap also allows people to have some trading functionalities. So we provide users a way to trade assets on top of Lightning. So let's dig a little bit on how RGB Lightning swaps works. So basically here the idea is that there are two roles, a taker and a maker. So the maker is the one who, let's say, start the condition of a swap. So basically its role is create the swap condition and provides this to the taker that will need to accept this condition. So for example, the maker can decide, okay, I want to sell USDT for Bitcoin. These are the conditions. The taker needs to accept this condition. So we need to provide a protocol in order to, for example, have prices for pairs. So for example, BTC, USDT, and so on. And the maker is the one who also will execute the swap. So the maker also have the role to decide if to execute or not the swap. And this is called a free call option problem. That is a common problem for these kinds of topics. And we're going to explore later how we could mitigate this problem, but it is not possible. So for example, a maker could also decide to not execute the swap. And let's say in this way, he's not a good maker because let's say he could only accept swaps that are let's say favorable for him. So by explaining you this model, let's say this is the base of how trading works on RGB and Lightning. And there are also a few requirements. So for example, taker and maker needs to have enough liquidity for let the swap happen. So for example, they need a channel, a Lightning channel, with also RGB asset on top of it. So if, for example, they have a direct channel, it's so much easier to let the swap execute. But if, for example, they are, let's say they don't have a direct channel, it is a little bit more complex. So a centralized point, for example, an LSP could be set in place in order to allow more users to be connected to each other and have a direct path between the taker and the maker. So by having these, let's say, conditions, the RGB Lightning node have 3 different APIs that allow people to trade assets. So for example, there is an API to initiate a swap. So for example, this API get as input, for example, which asset we want to sell, to which asset we want to buy, and for how much time do we want that this condition is valid. This API will return a swap string. So this swap string encodes everything about this swap. And this swap string needs to be whitelisted from the taker. So we should send this swap string to the taker. The taker will call another API that is called taker and will whitelist this swap string. So basically what it means is the taker will say to its node, okay, if an HTLC will pass to my node by moving some assets from this channel and getting some Bitcoin, for example, from this other channel, then let it flow. So I accept this swap. And after whitelisting the trade, he also needs to say to the maker, okay, please execute the swap since I'm okay with the swap condition. So these are the base of how an RGB Lightning swap works. I'd like to explain you how we implemented this because, for example, since we have this API that allows trading and allows swaps, we should also implement some ways to facilitate the trading. So what we built is basically a protocol to allow people to have an easier way to call this API. So the way that we implement the things are based on a request for quotation model. So the request for quotation model basically means, okay, let's assume that we have an LSP, so a Lightning Service Provider that provides liquidity to the users. This LSP also provides assets, so not only Lightning channels, vanilla Lightning channels, but also RGB Lightning channels. So, for example, a user can come from can request a new channel, for example, for USDT, and after the maker or the LSP will open this channel to the user, he have let's say a liquidity for having a swap between BTC and USDT. So the first step I was saying is having a direct path and having an RGB Lightning channel. And the second step is, okay, a market maker, so the one who is making these swaps, have a list of supported assets and supported pairs. So for example, there will be a lot of different assets on RGB, a lot of different pairs. So each market maker could decide which asset he wants to list and which pairs also he wants to list. So for example, for KaleidoSwap, we implemented a registry where we listed some demo assets that users can swap from our LSP and from our market maker. So by having these pairs, a user can decide, okay, for example, I want to trade BTC USDT, so I subscribe to this pair. So by subscribing to this pair, the market maker will send to the users different quotes for the assets. So for example, they will send the price for the assets. So for example, for BTC USDT, I don't know, is 86K right now, something like that. So for every quote, he will receive the price of the asset at the pair and an amount of time that this pair will be valid. This quote will be valid. So let me show you the application so I can explain you better what does it mean. So let me take my screen. Let me share the screen, sorry. All right. All right, do you see my screen?
Yes, I do. Yes, we do. I think we all do. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Thank you very much. So this is the KaleidoSwap app. So basically here we are inside an RGB Lightning wallet. What I didn't show you is the main application introduction. So basically here, when you download the app, that I was saying is it is open source, so everyone can see the code and open issues and try the application. And if you want also participate in the development, open pull requests and providing features and so on. So by downloading the app, you will get here. So you will decide, okay, I want to connect a remote node. And we also provide some documentation on how to self-host an RGB Lightning node instance. You just need to paste here the connection URL of your RGB Lightning node, and you will be directly bring to the interface of the node. Otherwise, you can create a new node here, and by setting, for example, your account name, your password, you will get a recovery phrase to save, and you will be able to unlock the node and be inside the node. So one important thing that I didn't mention is that KaleidoSwap is completely non-custodial. So we don't want to hold the user money. We don't want to have custody of user funds. And this is really important because by implementing a DEX, for example, for RGB on Lightning, it will be so much easier to have it in a non-custodial way, because there is no problem about liquidity. Also, the user experience will be so much easier. So implement this in a non-custodial way is a much bigger problem. And that's why also we want to implement it, because this is the real way to do things in Bitcoin. And we believe that this is really impactful for, and could be really impactful for the Lightning Network also. So by, let's say, connecting to our eligibility node, you will also have here a list of your already existing nodes. So we already created some of them. So we go inside of the one that we had before, and we are directly connected to the node. So here in the dashboard, you can see your balance, your Bitcoin balance, your off-chain balance, so your Bitcoin inside your Lightning channels. You can also, for example, issue new assets. So for example, by going here, you can select, okay, I want to create a new token. So for example, Walter token. By the way, there are also a few issues to solve. So I didn't mention, but we are in alpha release. So this the software could have some bugs and some problems. Also for this, we implemented just on test network. So we have a market maker implemented in Rectest and test and Signet environment. When, let's say, everything will be production ready, both RGB, also RGB at the node, and the market maker implementation, then we will be ready to go mainnet. But until then, we will stay in a test environment phase. So by continuing here, I can set the amount, the precision of the asset, and I can issue it. So I don't know if you know how RGB works, but for example, for having an RGB asset to be minted, you need a callable UTXO. So a UTXO that could accept some commitment of an RGB contract. So in this case, I don't have right now a callable UTXO, so I need to create a new one. And in order to create a new one, you need to create an on-chain transaction. So here we also have some advanced settings. So for example, how much callable UTXO I want to create, and what is the size of this UTXO. So for example, in this case, we set a minimum amount of 5,000 Satoshis in order to create a new UTXO. So by creating this UTXO, I also will call the API to issue the new asset, and now I will get the new asset here. So in order to, let's say, to use this asset, you can, for example, open new channels and send them to other users. But in order to trade assets, it's a little bit more complex. So one of the way to do it is, for example, having these manual swaps. And here is what I was explaining before. So here we implemented the manual swaps. So how I was saying, there are two roles. There is a maker and a taker. And the swap process works like this. So the maker initiates a swap. So it defines the assets and the amount he wants to swap, basically. the taker need to whitelist the swaps, and then the maker will execute the swap. So in these manual swaps, you could decide to be at a maker and a taker. So for example, a test could be, for example, let's open a channel together. I can be the maker, you can be the taker, and we can create a swap like this. So for example, I select to swap BTC to USDT. We set an amount here, stuff like this. Okay, I cannot receive them. For example, okay, it's not working well. I will find why, but never mind. He will create a swap string. So with encoding the swap condition. So this swap string is a string that the taker needs to whitelist. So by going here, the taker will need to paste the swap string and whitelist the trade, and then the maker will execute the trade. So this is a way to test swaps. So in this case, after the maker had executed the swap, taker and maker will receive the asset that they want to trade. But as I was saying, this is not so user-friendly. So it's a little bit complex. And on top of that, there is no a price for the token. So it's not so user-friendly. So we implement this market maker module. So basically here, what you see is a connection with a market maker that is running on our server, for example, on Rectest right now. And here, the KaleidoSwap application, the KaleidoSwap role will be the taker. So we will always see the taker here. And the market maker is also the RGB LSP, and we'll also have we'll always have the role of the maker. So in this case, for example, I can select the asset I want to buy and then sell, and I need to have enough liquidity for Bitcoin and the asset in order to execute the trade here. So there are a few requirements in order to be able to trade with the market maker. And also in the background here, we have a direct WebSocket connection with the market maker that will send us the different prices of the asset that is changing for every few seconds. So basically, the price change after a few seconds. And also there are other things to mention. So for example, the maker could decide which asset he wants to support. So for example, here only USDT and Tether Gold. These assets are demo assets, so are asset minted for let's say test conditions. They are not related to Tether in any case, and just for let's say a test environment. And they can also decide, for example, which is the minimum amount they want to support for the trade, and also the maximum amount they want to support. Also, the maximum amount is also in a way encoded inside the RGB Latin node, since there is a requirement that it's encoded on the max HTLC. So here is explained a little bit what is this value, but it is basically the maximum amount of satoshis that a node can route in a single payment. And this currently could be a limitation because it is based for the 10% of the channel capacity. So basically, in order to sell, for example, the entire Latin channels, at the current moment, there is this limitation that could be changed in the future, but is set to the 10% of the channel capacity. So take in mind that this could be definitely be solved in the future, but there is this limitation. So, for example, when I get this, let's say, when I set my amount, when I press swap here, what will happen in the background? It is, okay, for each pair that I receive, so for each quote that I receive from the market maker, there is also an ID that is called request for quotation ID. So when I press swap, I ask the maker, okay, please, based on this ID, so based on the price that you sent me, please create a swap string So call the maker API of your node and send me this swap string. So in the background, I will whitelist this swap string and tell the maker, okay, I whitelisted the swap string, so please execute the swap. So by creating this, basically we have 3 different steps, and after the maker have whitelisted the trade, after the maker have executed the trade, then let's say we are waiting for the payment to be say sent through the Lightning Network and to be executed. So it will require a few seconds. So probably in the future this will be faster. Also for example, with the future release of RGB version 12, but at the moment it will require a few seconds. So it's not completely fast, but will be faster in the future. So regarding this, so this is the way we implement swaps currently on KaleidoSwap, but it's not the only way to implement swaps. So, for example, this way would be really usable, for example, for market maker that wants to list already bridged asset. Because, for example, they can hedge to other different centralized exchange, and can also provide different pairs that are already listed on some exchange. But the problem that we are trying to solve is, okay, based on how to make swaps, so the process that I explained before, how we can create a price for an asset that is not listed on an exchange. So for this, for example, is a problem because in an RGB at the current moment, as far as I know, is not possible to have automated market makers. So a way to provide, for example, in a liquidity pool, as in Ethereum or other shitcoin protocols, and having this way to put both assets, and the price will be defined on amount of each of the assets are inside the contracts. And in this way, let's say, we could have a price for a token. So since currently on RGB is not possible to have like this at the current time, maybe could be possible in the future, but since it's not possible now, we should find a way to create a price for new assets that are not listed. And we think that a possible way to do this will be to implement a decentralized order book using some peer-to-peer protocols. So what we're building right now is a peer-to-peer marketplace where, for example, users can be either taker or maker, and then they can create orders, for example, buy or sell orders, by providing the amount that they want to sell, and each user is connected to the same, let's say, API DEX gateway could receive the different orders of the users. So imagine a kind of protocol like BISC or Peach. So there are different protocols that already implement something like this, for example, for fiat to BTC payments, fiat to BTC swaps, sorry, and also, for example, centralized exchanges, something like this. So, for example, Binance have a peer-to-peer marketplace where users can create orders, buy and sell for different assets, and other users will accept these different orders these different orders. So one thing that we want to develop is basically starting in a centralized way. So we will provide different APIs to let users to create new buy and sell orders, and be able to create these new orders that will create a kind of a price for a new token that is not already listed on an exchange. This is the first step, so to have a draft protocol to implement this, but we think that the way that this should work is using a peer-to-peer protocol like Nostr. Why Nostr? So first of all, because it is a low latency protocol. Since this is a trading platform, we should have low latency because price changed really fast. So we want the minimum amount of latency between, let's say, the taker and maker. And also because this could also mitigate the problem of the free call option problem. Because since Nostr is a identification layer, an identity protocol. It could also allow people to give some reviews to the makers. So, for example, if I already, for example, whitelist a trade, so I'm able to trade with the market maker. If he doesn't make the swap, I can, for example, review him with a low review, and other users will be able to see, okay, that makers don't make some swaps, and so it's not a really good peer to make swaps. Also, for example, we can also have how much time that maker had some good swaps and stuff like that. So Nostr could be, in my opinion, a really good way to implement this. And there is also one other thing. So, for example, thanks to Nostr, you can also you can also have decentralized order books. So, for example, I can have, for example, different pairs, different assets, and different order books. So maybe some order books will be better than others because some could have, for example, fake orders. But if, for example, a relay, an Nostr relay, implements some anti-spam implementation. So, for example, in order to make a new order, you should pay, I don't know, 1000K. This will create a better order books because if there is some way to prevent spam orders, you will be able to have better prices. So we think that this could be a good way to try to implement peer-to-peer trading swaps, and we will investigate in the coming months on how to do this. So this is currently the current status of KaleidoSwap. So you can buy new channels from the LSP in order to be able to trade with him and have a market maker implementation where you can try to buy and sell swap assets. So everything here is atomic. So the swap either succeed or fail. So there is no way for the maker to get user money and don't give back the other assets and the other tokens. So this is really cool because let's say it uses the Lightning Network and let's say it takes all the advantages of the Lightning Network. So yeah, this is what we have right now. So if you have question or other thing that you want to explore, I'm really happy to explain to you everything about this. So yeah, as I was saying, there are currently some issues that we are going to solve in the next release. So get ready to download new version of the app soon with some fixes, and yeah, we will be able to get ready to a trading journey on RGB and Lightning.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Walter. Let me see if there are any questions from the people who's actually right now they're online.
I have a question.
Oh, hello, Fede. Hello, Fede. Yeah, you just go ahead.
Yeah,
Fede.
first of all, yeah, sure. So first of all, congratulations for the amazing work. I mean, yeah, really cool to see a product like this. So my question is regarding the Nostr order book. So how do you, I mean, do you plan to address the pre-option problem in any way with the when dealing with the Nostr order book? Because I know that with the RFQ model you can address it in like a reputation style way. If somebody keeps taking advantage of the free option, people can just stop using a certain market maker. But this seems like harder to do with a Nostr order book because I guess the orders are somewhat anonymous, or how do you envision it?
Yeah, in my opinion, it's not possible to solve a free call option problem. So one way could be to mitigate them. So in my opinion, a good way to do this is, for example, to rate the makers. So to have makers that already create some swaps, real swaps that are, for example, reviewed from the user. So for example, I can review as a good market maker if we completed the swap together. So I can say, okay, maybe this could be also automatically. So if we complete a swap, then I'll be able to create a review for you. And so in this way, for example, you will see, okay, in a peer-to-peer marketplace, I want to swap with a maker that have good reviews and not someone who is new and never creates some swaps, because he could never execute some swaps. So this could be something that could be implemented. But of course, it's not so easy to implement it also in a peer-to-peer protocol, but it's something that we would like to explore. And also one other thing is, for example, as I was saying, the avoid to get spam orders by letting users to pay for listing the orders. And this could be done, for example, with the L42 protocol. That is a kind of protocol that, for example, when you want to call an API, you will receive a letting invoice to pay. So if you pay that letting invoice, then you will be able to list your orders. So this is something that could prevent some spam orders. And since you paid for create an order, maybe you will also want to that order to be executed. So they could also prevent a little bit free call option problem, I think.
But yeah, I guess like in with volatile assets such as Bitcoin, USD pairs, you will want to keep updating your orders. So this could be quite expensive to have open orders out there that you need to keep updating, keep paying every time that there is a price movement.
Yeah, definitely. So this could be used, for example, for pairs that are not so liquid. So, but it could also, let's say, not completely solve the problem for a real decentralized order books. Also, because another thing to implement for a real decentralized order books is, for example, the matching system. So if I create an order of, I don't know, 1 Bitcoin, but a user just want to buy a few sats, I will need to execute these swaps and then create a new one with amount that is not more inside the swap. So there are a few things to implement in order to have a completely real, I say, decentralized order books with everything works. And there are a lot of messaging and protocols to send between taker and makers and so on. So yeah, we are in an exploring phase where we are trying to put this in a draft. And after, let's say, a few weeks, we could also try also to implement this and to test it.
Also, sorry, regarding the payment to be in the order book, to who do you pay to? Who will be the party that is paid to place the order?
In this case, will be the relay, the NOS relay, that will also list the orders, but there also will be executed or in all in a peer-to-peer way. So this is also another problem, because there is a liquidity problem. So since maker and taker needs to have at least a path with enough liquidity for both Bitcoins and or RGB assets they want to sell. So it's not an easy problem to solve, but maybe we are thinking in a way where the NOS relay is also the RGB LSP that it will be also be connected to both taker and makers that want to make peer-to-peer swaps.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And
I have a little question. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sure. No, let's go. Like.
Well, first, I was playing this afternoon with the software. I'm really impressed because it's really working super well. I was on Linux. And is it the same RGB Lightning node than it's from the RGB tools, right? It's the same as Iris desktop wallet, in fact.
Yeah, exactly. It's an interface to an RGB Lightning node, and it's the same used by Iris. So you could, for example, test the both apps by creating channels from for example, from one Iris wallet to a KaleidoSwap wallet, and send assets, for example, over chain or by Lightning.
That's cool because I just was testing intensively Iris, so it's really impressive. Yeah, it's great. So anyone can be LSP. Well, of course, I'm thinking about it because I can create a market from the projects we already have in RGB. So
yeah, so we created the application to be able to have multiple market makers and multiple SPs. So you could also create your own and be a market maker. You will need to integrate with KaleidoSwap APIs. That we already created some documentation, but they are not really so much updated. So we will have to update them, and we will do it in the coming weeks. But of course, you could be able to be, everyone could be a market maker, and everyone could be an RGB LSP, of course.
That sounds very good. Yeah. Well, really well done. Congrats.
Thank you very much. And also, one other thing that I would like to mention is a kind of protocol that came in my mind today that is based on the wrapped invoice. I would like to receive some feedbacks about this, but my idea here is a proxy, for example, a swap proxy, would be, for example, could create some wrapped invoice for making payments. So let's put it simple. So let's imagine that Alice wants to pay Carol, but Carol just wants to get paid, for example, in USDT, but Alice have just Bitcoin. So, for example, in this case, Alice and Carol could be connected to this swap proxy, and when Alice wants to pay Carol, will send its invoice. So Carol will create an invoice with the payment that you want to achieve. And basically, since Bob is connected to both of them, he could create a new invoice wrapping this invoice of Carol. And by using it's called odd invoice, so it will this new invoice will be paid from Alice to Bob, and Bob will pay the payment to Carol. And after Carol will give the pre-image of the payment to Bob, Bob can claim the payment of Alice. So in this way, what could be achievable is, okay, Carol can accept whichever payment, the payment in whichever assets he wants. So for example, she will accept USDT on RGB, and Alice could pay in whichever asset he wants. So for example, it can Bitcoin. So a merchant that just want to accept USDT can do this, and the payee can pay in whichever asset he wants. And this wrapped invoice protocol could work both for RGB assets, so for example, for BTC USDT, for different assets. So for example, let's imagine different stable coins. So I don't know, Euro, USD, something like this, but also for multi-protocol on top of Lightning. So for example, RGB Taproot assets or RGB liquid and so on. So this is something that we'll try to explore also in the coming weeks, but in my opinion should be really interesting for solving different problems that could arrive when say there are multiple protocols on top of the Lightning Network.
So like how will the creation of the invoice work? I mean, who has the responsibility to find the party that will execute the swap, the sender or the receiver?
So the idea here in my mind is the sender will be connected to this proxy that will be connected also to the receiver. So the sender will send a payment to this proxy, and the proxy will send a payment to the receiver. And when the receivers get paid, so will they relieve the pre-image, also the proxy can get the payment from the PE. So basically, it is the payer that is connected to this proxy, and the proxy have a channel with the receiver.
So the idea is that like the receiver just create an invoice and say like I want to be paid in USDT. Then comes the payer that only has Bitcoin, and he finds a proxy that can execute the swap and pay the receiver on his behalf. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But by using a wrapped invoice. So basically, all of this will be atomic, and how it works in the background is basically the payer will scan, for example, the invoice and get the invoice from the receiver, and will send this invoice to the proxy. So the proxy, by getting this invoice, will create a new wrapped invoice that will be sent to the payer, and the payer will just need to pay this new wrapped invoice.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah, makes sense. Cool.
Nice. Yeah, one thing to mention about this is probably this works with ODL invoice, and ODL invoice have a problems that lock liquidity inside Lightning channels. So, for example, if one of these payment will fail, probably the Lightning channels could be closed. But I need to investigate more on this. But yeah, ODL invoice are not so good for Lightning, so there are a few trade-offs, but should work in let's say most cases.
And what do you think about using ODL invoice like in general for swaps operation?
Yeah, yeah. This could definitely improve also the current version of the swap. So the thing that I explained before, so the 3 different steps could be just let's say replaced from this protocol with a wrapped invoice. So in this case, will be so much easier because yeah, the steps to make a swaps will be so much less, I think.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it also can be like a nice simplification because you can use the same also to do like cross-chain, cross-protocol swap if you want to swap also with something outside of Lightning or outside of RGB.
Yeah, in this case,
HTLC.
Yeah, exactly. In this case, a market maker could quote not only, for example, RGB assets, but also other protocol assets, for example, Taproot assets and so on. And you will able to have, let's say, a gateway that is capable to make swaps interoperable between RGB, Taproot assets, Liquid, Bitcoin, normal Bitcoin, because they are using all HTLC and they are based on Lightning.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Nice. Other question, guys?
Sure, I do have one. Walter, you might have. It's a little bit more of a general question, but you know, we've been talking about a DeFi on Bitcoin actually for years. Why it's like no doubt it's a potential. Like there's a potential huge, and I've been thinking that to make it truly achievable over the years, a DEX surely you know seemed like a crucial tool for making it to the future of finance on top of Bitcoin. And since this is like the first time we're seeing one on top of RGB and Bitcoin, I think like that's like a milestone moment to make it real, maybe. So, in your opinion, what are actually the key factors to make it that will make it a reality, a kind of a kind of a finance on top of Bitcoin and using RGB in the future?
So thank you for the question, Berk. So in my opinion, the main steps will be definitely have more liquidity on top of Lightning and RGB. And so, for example, RGB LSP could be, there will be a key factor on this because they will have to provide liquidity. And also, for example, KaleidoSwap will be the first and is one of the first implementation of RGB Lightning swaps. But for example, could arrive new kind of protocols that could implement something different, or for example, something more I don't know, more advanced with more order books and so on. But it's definitely something that we will look for. And one thing that I want to mention is RGB have a lot of different opportunities because is let's say Turing complete protocol. So you could definitely create a lot of different kind of protocols that you can imagine. we are just using a basic contract, a basic RGB contract that is RGB20. So let's say kind of digital assets. But for example, I imagine in the future that you can also create some more advanced smart contracts that would, for example, allow borrow and lend of assets, or I don't know, DAOs, decentralized autonomous organization, and so on. So I know that this is more a step for the future because Maxime is finishing let's say defining the protocols. Maybe Federico could tell us more about this, but having a really user-oriented way to create smart contracts on top of RGB could be really useful, because in this way we can open, let's say, doors to really a DeFi on top of Bitcoin. So DEXs are a key factor for this, but they are just one of the pieces that could be created on top of Lightning and Bitcoin, I think.
Yeah, I see. So, I mean, if I probably got it right, so you're meaning that probably more, this is like more than a final step. This is like probably this is gonna be one of the like something in the between that probably is gonna be helpful to create something more advanced.
Yeah, exactly. In my opinion, we should, for the first time, getting inspired from what is already available in shitcoins protocol, for example, Ethereum and DeFi and Ethereum, because they already had test some DeFi protocols. So there are a few things that can arrive. DEXs are, let's say, the first step and one of the first step, but a lot of different other protocols could be implemented, I think, and this could open new doors, as I was saying, for a decentralized finance and a Lightning finance on top of the Lightning network.
Yeah, like very cool in my opinion. Again, congratulations. I don't know if since you just been mentioned, Fede, if you want to say something about that regarding the last
Yeah,
updates of
yeah, I think,
RGB
yeah,
protocol. Yeah, thanks. Sure.
yeah. No, yeah, I think like I mean, if you want to expand like DeFi to Bitcoin, probably the more promising way to do it is to integrate the discrete log contracts, smart contract with RGB and Lightning. So yeah, in that way we can have basically we can bring financial derivatives on top of Lightning denominated in like US dollar assets instead of being denominated in Bitcoin. And that's what I expect to be the best way to actually try to get more advanced financial product on top of Lightning, because basically now KaleidoSwap is solving the swap the spot exchange part. But then if we want to have derivatives, basically we need to have like lending, so like contracts that are settled based on the price of their underlying, and this can realistically be achieved integrating DLCs. I didn't look too much in how complex that will be, but yeah, that's definitely possible.
Nice.
So, guys, I have a question for both Federico and Walter. Walter, thanks for everything you and the KaleidoSwap team done. Starting from what Federico just said, so do you think that the market for RGB assets in the first time will be driven by community and project-based token or from institutional grade one? So what could be the flywheel that bring RGB to the actual audience that is made, of course, by shitcoiner mostly?
Yeah, so I think that probably we could see a two different way the market could arrive on RGB. So, for example, the one that I show you, so the market maker is really suitable, for example, for bridged asset. So, for example, a market maker could be connected to a bridge, I don't know, Solana RGB, something. So pairs and assets that are already listed on different protocols and different blockchains or centralized exchange could be definitely be the first to be integrated to RGB because they are already some pairs. So market makers could just get some bridged asset. So definitely there will be some trust in the bridgers, but there are already some trust problems everywhere regarding this. So since we have some bridged RGB asset for already existing tokens, that could be the first one to be traded on, for example, KaleidoSwap. But for example, for assets and tokens that are listed only, for example, on RGB, that will require a few more development and implementation, like the one that I was playing before, because it's difficult to create a new price for a new token in a completely decentralized way without having an automated market maker. So for assets that want to list just on RGB, it will require a few more months of development in order to be able to be traded seamlessly.
Yeah, personally, I think in general will be a bit of both. I mean, yeah, probably at the beginning, yeah, it will be more like yeah, smaller issuers from the community, and then yeah, over time you will have a bigger institutional issuer that also will start embracing RGB and bring more volumes.
Perfect. Thanks, both.
Hey Walter, like in order to be listed, is there like any kind of requirement from any project or any coin, or is just completely open and free to be listed on? I know it may sound like a stupid question maybe, but I was just thinking about that, like in a DEX in general.
To be listed, you need a market maker. So the market maker should also have some assets already. So there should be some agreement between the market maker and the token issuer. Since also the market maker will need to open channels to the users in order to let user be able to trade assets. So in this way, RGB LSP and market makers could be the same thing, and they should coordinate with the issuer to let's say list new assets and new pairs. But also another thing is that was mentioned before, it's difficult to find a price for a new listed assets because the market maker should send prices to users, but if the asset don't have already an order book, it's not possible to find a price for it. So currently the way that we implemented is we need already an external source for getting the price, and then we should be able to list the pairs to the user.
I see.
Sorry, Walter, couldn't the market maker implement a AMM like pricing model, like this equation for pricing just for like its internal purpose of pricing the token and use it for pricing illiquid assets?
Sincerely, I don't know. Probably yes. I need to investigate on how to do this. But I think that is so much easier to implement it in, for example, smart contracts protocol and I don't know Ethereum and so on, because you have a contract that have deposit of both assets and define a price based on the assets that are inside the contracts. But having it in let's say a RGB Lightning node in a non-custodial way, I really don't know how to do it and if it's possible.
What I mean is just like it's just like completely local for the market maker. So yeah, the market maker starts that as I don't know, like 100 Bitcoin and 100 of the liquid token. Then people come to him to say, okay, I want to sell the token, I want to buy the token. So this amount will change.
Okay.
And when this amount changes, okay, this is how I adjust the price.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, this could be possible. I never imagined it. So yeah, this is something that could be possible to integrate, and maybe is easier to do this instead of the decentralized order book.
Yeah, I think I mean, in general, this is suboptimal because yeah, it's not the best pricing model to just use this equation. The AMM on Ethereum, they use it mostly to save on gas fees, not because it's a better pricing model. But in this, specifically for illiquid tokens, it works as opposed as the order book that doesn't work when something is very liquid. So say that I would apply this only for starter fees very liquid, and as it becomes liquid, then to transition to order book pricing model.
Yeah, definitely. Since there is a liquidity problem by definition, let's say having it completely centralized in a market maker that also define the price for the token, because let's say you have only the liquidity for the token, could be, let's say, good for a first implementation. And then when there will be more market makers, more LSPs, probably the centralized order books will be already a reality, and there will be so much liquidity that could be possible to have a better price using decentralized order books.
Yep.
Alrighty. Thank you for everybody for the great questions. Are there any more from the audience online right now? If any, just feel free to ask, and let's dive deeper into the discussion. Otherwise, we're just gonna wrap it up.
It's a little beside, but just to say, we started my project started in November 2023, and just to say, there's still a good community around waiting for RGB to work with our token. So they're still here around 2 years, almost 2 years later. So it's just for you to know that I'm surprised about it, because I thought this project will, actually I'm on a liquid on SideSwap. So when I'm developing a bridge between, I try to develop a bridge between liquid and RGB when it's ready. So like KaleidoSwap is perfect for this kind of project. And just for you to know that there's still some a good community waiting for at least 2 or 3 projects I know, like mine. We are all shitcoins, of course, but people are here still.
Yeah, and more people will come.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, exactly. Since we have here Federico as well, just make sure to maximize the call if you have any questions regarding the general status of RGB or any future insights or stuff like that. Otherwise, guys, I'm just gonna wrap it up.
Well, thank you, and thank you, Federico, for the Iris desktop and stuff, because it's really starting to work really well. Cannot wait for the mainnet.
Yeah, we all cannot wait for it.
Yeah, it's really it's really working now. It's good.
Yeah.
So let's go to mainnet.
Let's go now. People wants mainnet. So.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
ask 100 times a day. When mainnet?
Nice. One thing to mention on this, also, as we were definitely mainnet here, but we also don't want that user lose money, so be careful, because this is currently alpha testing, so it'd be risky to be on mainnet right now without having too much test. So yeah, we hope to have mainnet soon, but yeah, don't rush on it, because
if I want to try to be a market maker or LSP for my community, what should I use first? Reg test, testnet, or which network I should use?
But currently on KaleidoSwap, we implemented in RegTest because there is a faucet made from RGB Tools
Oh, yeah.
guy that is usable also on KaleidoSwap. So there is also some interoperability between the different apps. So definitely that could be one way. And we also have it on Signet, in more particular MutinyNet, that is a test network on Lightning and is good because blocks come every 30 seconds and there are a few faucets already, and also there are some deployed node. So
Oh, that's cool. I
it's,
didn't know this one.
yeah, this is cool
That's
because
cool.
it's more a real environment than definitely on Lightning, because since you can connect to other nodes that are already there and have some other services, is more a real environment for testing.
Okay. So I will try to make public a public node and test with the community, because I think I have a few hundred people who can test some swap intensively with our in test. So I will do it. It's a really good time to do because it works really well. Thank you.
Thank you.